This is Marco. At 24 years old, his exhaustion stems from the relentless, uncontrollable storm of thoughts tearing through his mind. His mind is a source of chronic insomnia and a constant low-grade unease that has stripped away his ability to experience joy. This internal turbulence is caused by a mechanical split in his consciousness. Instead of inhabiting his current reality, Marco's attention is pulled in two opposite temporal directions. Unresolved sadness acts as a physical weight, creating a backward drag that anchors his focus in a past he cannot change. Simultaneously, uncontrollable worry projects his mind forward, forcing him to inhabit unpredictable, stressful futures that have yet to occur. This temporal stretching defines his mental clutter. Marco is spread so thin across time that he loses the capacity to function in the present moment. Marco eventually learns of a former city psychologist who abandoned his high-pressure career to live as a hermit in the remote hills. He becomes convinced that physical distance from his village will resolve his internal chaos, assuming a change in scenery will equate to a change in mind. After many long days of exhausting trekking through the steep, quiet hills, Marco finally reaches the isolated retreat. Despite his physical fatigue, he arrives with the expectation of receiving a complex clinical strategy to dismantle his anxiety. Marco has traveled hundreds of miles to escape a storm that he is carrying entirely within his own head. He finds a small house covered in greenery, a place defined by a stillness that stands in direct opposition to Marco's internal state. On the porch sits the old psychologist. He possesses the quiet stability that Marco is looking for. Marco delivers an emotional plea for help, waiting for a deep analytical session to begin. The old man offers no verbal advice or psychological theories. He simply stands up and presents Marco with a physical task. By refusing to discuss Marco's past or future, the expert moves the solution out of the realm of abstract thought and into the immediate physical environment. The old man fills a glass to the absolute brim, relying on surface tension to keep the water from overflowing. He tells Marco to walk to the edge of the village and back. If a single drop spills, the exercise fails. Marco's focus immediately narrows. The trembling surface of the water becomes his entire world. As he navigates the narrow road, children run past him and people move suddenly in his peripheral vision. He walks through a wall of sound, shouting shopkeepers and barking dogs competing for his attention. Marco adapts by locking his eyes on the glass. He moves with a hyper-calculated slowness, his body becoming a shock absorber for the uneven ground. The mechanical difficulty of the task forces him to ignore the environmental noise entirely, allowing him to return to the cabin with the glass still full. Marco presents the glass to the old man, proud of his perfect execution. The psychologist asks him if he noticed the children playing or heard the dogs barking along the way. Marco admits he saw and heard nothing. His mind was entirely consumed by the water. This illustrates cognitive bandwidth limits. The precarious glass forced Marco's brain to operate at full capacity on a single, immediate goal. With processing power fully utilized, intrusive thoughts and noise were deflected. There was no available space for them. The exercise demonstrates that absolute focus on a physical requirement can effectively crowd out a person's ability to process distractions. The old man reveals that the challenge worked by starving Marco's overactive mind of the time it needed to dwell elsewhere. While Marco's attention was fixed on the glass, he lacked the mental capacity to simultaneously construct a future to fear. Regret functions similarly. The weight of the past cannot hold when the mind is fully occupied by the immediate requirements of the now. Marco realizes that peace is a function of how he manages his attention. It is a mental configuration he must actively maintain, rather than a destination he can travel to. Marco begins his journey home. He walks with clarity, no longer struggling against the storm he once carried. Mental peace is found by anchoring focus so deeply in the present moment that the crushing weight of other times simply cannot exist.